Picture this. Kochi, India. Beautiful coastal city. Palm trees. The air smells like spices.
Yeah.
Peaceful. And then, boom, a respected doctor, like a pillar of the community, is found dead
Yeah.
in his own clinic.
Yeah.
Just shocking. And that's what happened in the case of Dr. Arun Menon.
Yeah.
His death, I mean, it just blew the lid off this whole world of, like, tangled relationships and jealousy. And, well, didn't end well for anyone.
Tragic, really.
Yeah. Welcome to CrimePod Castle's Twisted Love series.
Always a good time.
So, this case, it starts out like a dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Successful doctor, happy marriage.
The whole 9 yards. The life everyone wants.
Right. But then, things go south.
As they often do.
And that's what makes it so interesting, right?
Absolutely. Because you peel back the layers and you see their marriage not so perfect after all.
Well, this is where it gets juicy. Tell me more.
So there's this new surgeon, Dr. Ramesh Iyer,
Oh.
and he and Kavya, they start spending a lot of time together at work, and outside of work too.
Classic, like a soap opera or something.
Totally.
So this charming new doctor shows up. And Arun and Kavya, their bond, it starts to, fray. But was there really an affair?
Well,
Or was it just, like, gossip?
the rumor mill in a hospital, it can churn.
Wild. So that's what I found so interesting about this case. Was it all in Arun's head?
Maybe, or maybe not. But the sources I read, they focused a lot on the rumors and the suspicion around Kavya and Ramesh. But actual proof...
Hard to come by.
Exactly.
So maybe Arun was just, like, super jealous and that,
drove him too. Well, we know how it ends. It's a classic crime of passion fueled by jealousy. But what if the jealousy wasn't even, based in reality?
Whoa, that's deep.
Right. Perception is a powerful thing, especially in matters of the heart.
Okay.
Here's Arun, this successful doctor, used to being in control,
I bet.
and suddenly his world is upside down. His wife, his whole life, maybe slipping away.
He must have been a mess.
Yeah.
Emotionally, I mean.
Totally.
And so on November 15th, 2021, Dr. Arun Menon is found dead.
In his clinic. Brutal. Multiple stab wounds, a struggle. Not what you'd expect in that environment.
Sterile.
Exactly. And everyone immediately suspects Dr. Ramesh Iyer.
Of course. I mean, there's the affair rumors, the jealousy. It's like textbook.
Of course I did it.
But did the investigators, jump the gun? Was there enough to tie Ramesh to the crime, or was it just like a hunch?
Well, let's see. There was security camera footage showing him going into Arun's clinic not long before the murder.
Okay, yeah.
And people said they heard yelling, like an argument.
Oh, wow.
And then, at Ramesh's place, they found clothes covered in blood and the murder weapon.
Damn. So they had him.
Looks like it.
Case closed.
Well, not so fast. Even with all that, you have to really examine everything. Like the fingerprints on the weapon, were they easy to see? Or were they those, partial print? That kind of thing matters.
Good point. We can't just assume he did it based on, a few things. So what did Ramesh say when they confronted him? Did he deny everything?
Actually, no. He confessed.
No way.
Yeah. He said he and Arun had this confrontation and it got out of control. That Arun was yelling at him, blaming him for the marriage falling apart and threatened to, expose him?
So, like self-defense.
That's what he claimed.
But did the investigators buy it?
That's where it gets tricky. See, the investigators, they weren't so sure about the whole self-defense thing.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Arun was stabbed a bunch of times, a lot. That kind of violence, it doesn't usually say self-defense, more like, I really wanted this guy gone.
Yikes.
Yeah. So the prosecution, they thought it was premeditated. Ramesh planned it all out. Jealousy, wanted Kavya for himself, the whole shebang.
Makes sense. So they presented their case, right? All about how Ramesh's confession was like a lie, trying to cover his tracks.
Exactly. They put together all the little clues, the evidence, the confession, tried to show how Ramesh was obsessed and, wanted Arun out of the picture for good.
Wow. What about the defense? They must have fought back, right? What was their angle?
Well, they had a tough job. The evidence was pretty strong against Ramesh.
Right. So they went for the humanizing approach.
Yeah.
Showing him as this desperate guy, caught up in a whirlwind of emotions.
Trying to get the jury to sympathize with him.
Yeah. They kept bringing up the confession, highlighting how Arun threatened him and how he just snapped.
Like a crime of passion.
Right. Appealing to the jury's emotions, trying to get them to see him as a regular guy who made a mistake, not some cold-blooded killer.
Did it work? Did they have anything to back up this emotional distress story?
They tried. They brought in people to talk about Ramesh's state of mind before the murder, how he was all messed up from the rumors and his relationship with Kavya going sour.
Interesting. So they were painting him as the victim, like he was pushed too far.
Exactly. They even played up the power dynamic between Arun, this big shot doctor, and Ramesh, the new guy on the block.
So basically, Ramesh felt small and threatened.
That was the idea. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Did the jury buy it?
Yeah, I'm on the edge of my seat here.
The whole city was watching, lives were ruined, reputations shattered, and the jury had to decide premeditated murder, or a guy who just lost it.
Tough call.
They had to sift through everything, all the evidence, the testimony, the arguments, and then decide Ramesh's fate.
Intense. So what happened? After weeks of all this, what was the verdict?
Guilty. Murder.
Wow.
Yeah. They didn't buy the self-defense story. They saw the evidence and decided it was planned. The judge, during sentencing, he really laid into Ramesh, called his actions a betrayal, as a doctor, as a person, said he destroyed the community's trust.
Heavy stuff.
And then, boom, life in prison.
Life, wow.
Yeah, no parole. You know, that's the thing about these cases. You make a choice. In a moment of anger or jealousy or whatever, and the consequences, they can last forever.
Yeah, this case, it went way beyond the courtroom. It really shook everyone up.
Absolutely. It was like this veil of peace and safety was ripped away, showed how even in the most perfect-looking lives, darkness can be hiding.
And what about Kavya?
Yeah.
You know, caught in the middle of this whole love triangle thing. What happened to her?
Oh, man, she went through it. Everyone was watching her, judging her, lost her husband. Her name was dragged through the mud. The rumors, the gossip. It was brutal.
Understandable.
Yeah, she pretty much disappeared from public life. Focused on her kids, tried to rebuild her life.
Sad. This case really shows how these crimes, they impact so many people. Families are torn apart, lives are changed forever, trust is broken. It's just awful.
It makes you think, doesn't it? About how powerful emotions can be, how they can twist people up, lead them to do terrible things.
Yeah. So as we, wrap up this deep dive into the Kochi Doctor Murder Case, what are the big lessons here? What should people take away from this?
It really does. I mean, we can look at the evidence and try to figure out why it happened, but the real question is, like, what can we learn from this? How can we use this to, maybe prevent something like this from happening again?
Right. How do we take this horrible story and turn it into something good?
That's the challenge. So what are the big takeaways here? For me, it's all about communication and, emotional intelligence, all those tangled relationships, the jealousy, the stuff that was never said out loud. It's a recipe for disaster.
Like a digging time bomb.
Exactly. You got to let off some steam before it explodes. And in this case, well, the explosion was pretty bad.
So how do we do things differently? What can we actually do?
First things first, we got to talk to each other. Honestly, in our relationships, at work, everywhere. If there's a problem, address it. Say what you need and actually listen to the other person.
Easier said than done, right? Especially when you're, really emotional.
True. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in. It's about knowing yourself, knowing what sets you off, understanding how your emotions affect what you do, and learning how to, handle them.
It's like learning a whole new skill set, being emotionally smart.
Yeah. And it's not just about stopping big tragedies like this. It's about having better relationships in general, being more empathetic, understanding where other people are coming from.
It's about building a world where people actually talk to each other instead of, letting things fester.
Exactly. And that really ties into the whole twisted love idea, doesn't it? Love is powerful. But it can also be, well, kind of messed up if we don't handle it right.
It's like we need to be smart about love.
Absolutely. The Kochi Doctor Murder Case is a reminder that people are complicated, but it also gives us a chance to learn and grow, to look at our own relationships, how we communicate, and ask ourselves, what can I do better? How can I make sure my love is the good kind, the kind that lasts?
Deep stuff.
Right.
I think our listeners will have a lot to think about after this.
Me too. These cases, they're tough, but they make us think about what it means to be human. And by talking about them, maybe we can all learn something.
Right. So that's it for our deep dive into the Kochi Doctor Murder Case. Thanks for being here with us.
It's been great talking with you.
And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in to CrimePod Castle. If you're hungry for more true crime stories, hit that subscribe button and check out our YouTube channel. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe.